Power, arrogance, and an ironic destiny. Have you ever stopped to think about who the only 4 kings were who ruled the entire earth, from east to west? Get ready. Today we're going to delve into the story of the first of them, a Nimrod, the tyrant who dared to defy the creator himself. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's unravel the legend that changed the history of faith. Following Noah's universal flood, the second eon of human existence began. Centuries of conflict and social upheaval culminated in the age of 2 monarchs, where countless sovereigns converged in a ceaseless struggle, seeking to expand their domains and solidify their power. Although the reach of most of their kingdoms was limited to national borders, some transcended this limitation and established vast empires. These rulers were divided. There were those who professed the faith and those who rejected it. From this spectrum emerged the most corrupt, tyrannical, and ruthless, as well as the most equitable, who established themselves as paragons of justice and righteousness. However, history only points to 4 individuals who achieved absolute sovereignty, exercising total rule over the earth, from east to west. Historical records indicate 2 believers and 2 non-believers. The devout were Tul-Karnain, notable for having contained the hordes of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and Solomon, to whom the Creator granted a dominion of unparalleled magnitude, without precedent or successor. The non-believers were a Nimrod ibn Canaan, the insolent one who dared to defy divinity, who, in response, subdued him through the weakest of his creatures, and Bucht-Nasser, Nebuchadnezzar, the monarch summoned to confront the children of Israel. From now on, we will focus our attention on the first of these 4, a Nimrod ibn Canaan, the firstborn of the total rulers of the earth. A Nimrod, the primordial tyrant. Son of Canaan, grandson of Cush, and descendant of Ham and Noah, a Nimrod was a king of immense power, whose dominion extended throughout the known world. His rule over the population was imposed with an unyielding tyranny. His control was unquestionable. Not only was he ruler of a vast territory, but he was also the first to dare to claim divinity for himself, crowning himself a supreme being. Furthermore, a Nimrod was the pioneer in unraveling the mysteries of magic, learning directly from Iblis himself. Under his rule, one of the most astonishing feats of the ancient world was erected, the imposing Tower of Babylon. Born in the land of Babylon, cradle of one of the greatest civilizations, a Nimrod's ambition was a consuming force. Even before assuming the throne and inheriting the entire territory, his primary desire was to ascend to kingship without any conflict with a higher spiritual authority. On one occasion, while purifying himself in his baths, he was surrounded by a lush retinue of beautiful women. The dark Pacten, the Ascension. At the height of the king's opulence, a tense silence was suddenly broken. An individual in dark robes and with a ruddy complexion burst, without warning, into the private chamber, a strictly forbidden place. The mere transgression was astonishing. En Nimrod. In a controlled voice, but full of contempt and dominance, the man asked, "So you are the one destined to possess the entirety of the earth and everything that breathes on it?" The insolence unleashed the monarch's fury. Consumed by rage, a Nimrod ordered the immediate execution of the red-faced man. Not only that, but all the courtiers and beautiful women who witnessed the scene were included in the sentence, perishing on the spot to silence any record of the affront. However, the king was completely taken aback. Upon ascending to his audience chamber, a Nimrod came face to face with the same reddish figure, the man who had just been murdered in his presence, reappearing to challenge him with a sarcastic smile. Horrified, the monarch asked, "Who are you?" The being responded with cosmic arrogance, "I am the sovereign of light." From the first instant clarity was forged. If you truly aspire to greatness, if you desire supremacy over all realm, you must behold my true nature. The desire for power overcame terror. A Nimrod consented, and the crimson man transformed. He became an entity of colossal stature, covered in thick, coarse fur. That being was Demon. To grant him strength, Iblis demanded an offering of servitude. Nimrod accepted the curse, becoming the first mortal to sell his own soul to the devil in exchange for earthly authority and power. Iblis, honoring the agreement, instructed him in all the arcane arts, teaching him how to manipulate and subjugate the people in order to establish himself as the greatest of kings. But the final price would be the most grim. Iblis demanded that a Nimrod eliminate his own father to guarantee his undisputed rise to power. The king, now a servant of darkness, obeyed the order and committed parricide. Here, a Nimrod consolidated his reign. He rose as an indomitable monarch and a sorcerer of immeasurable power, whose strength, influence, and dominion surpassed any known limits.
The coronal eclipse and the arrival of light.
In fact, Nimrod established himself as the undisputed monarch of earth and all humanity. He became a fearsome sovereign, being the first to wear a golden crown upon his brow. It was on this day that he arrogantly proclaimed, "We are the absolute rulers of earth and all that resides upon it." The monarch then turned to expansion, annexing all the adjacent nations. His dominion did not cease until he was crowned king of 7 unknown climatic regions. Nimrod had unrestricted control over provisions and supplies, exercising total authority to distribute or withhold goods according to his sole whim.
The prophecy and the terror.
One night, the tyrant's sleep was invaded by a vision that filled him with a profound sense of unease. In his nightmare, he glimpsed a star rising in the sky, whose brilliance was so intense that it eclipsed that of the sun, extinguishing it completely. Immediately, he summoned princes and interpreters to decipher the omen. The answer was unanimous and terrifying: a son would be born, and this son would be responsible for their ruin and death. In his panic, the king decreed the extermination of all newborn children. It was during this period of terror that our Lord, the prophet Abraham, was born. His mother, overwhelmed with fear, hid her son to protect him from the royal edict. The people's dependence on a Nimrod was absolute, with individuals from all over the country coming to ask the king for supplies. On a crucial day, the young Abraham ventured out to find his ration of food. It was then that he saw the monarch moving among the crowd. He questioned the people, demanding the same answer: "Who is your Lord?" And the crowd, in unison and in submission, replied, "You are our supreme Lord."
The first confrontation and the destruction of the idol.
As we passed by the young Abraham, Nimrod asked the same question he posed to everyone: "Who is your Lord?" The prophet's reply was immediate and defiant: "My Lord is he who gives life and determines death." The monarch, consumed by his arrogance, retorted, "I have the power to give life and condemn to death whomever I wish." To illustrate his point theatrically, Nimrod ordered 2 men to be brought before him. He executed one and freed the other, gesturing to the crowd as proof of his supposed divinity.
Abraham.
He retorted with implacable logic, exposing the fallacy: "If that is the case, then let your power bring back to life the one you just killed." The force of that challenge silenced Nimrod. Unable to offer a coherent response, the tyrant remained silent and humiliated on his own stage. The king, trying to deflect attention from his defeat, asked once more, "And what else does your Lord do?" Abraham, maintaining his composure, replied with a final question, omitting the confusing repetition of the original text. Despite the monarch's fury, he could not prevent Abraham from receiving his portion of food, and the prophet departed unharmed.
The desecration.
Later, the prophet Abraham went to the temple where the men worshipped their deities. Seizing a strategic opportunity, he precisely destroyed all the statues except the largest one, to which he left a symbolic instrument, the axe or weapon. When the worshippers returned and witnessed the desecration of their gods, they brought Abraham. They forced him to leave and questioned him indignantly, "Who dared to commit this act against our gods, O Abraham?" The prophet replied shrewdly, "It was the greatest of them who did this. Ask him then if he is able to speak."
The miracle of fire and the blindness of pride.
The people, momentarily silenced by logic, wondered aloud, how could a motionless figure not do what it says? The truth about the powerlessness of idols penetrated their minds, but fear prevailed. They chose anger and marched. Abraham was judged and punished. Nimrod saw the perfect opportunity to take revenge on the young man who had publicly humiliated him.
The tyrant decreed the beginning of the punishment.
He ordered the gathering of a vast quantity of combustible material and the construction of a colossal furnace. His intention was to create the largest fire ever seen in the city. The fire burned for several days, reaching a hellish and terrible intensity. Abraham was thrown into the heart of the pyre, before the expectant gaze of the people. Everyone expected the flames to consume the prophet. However, after the heat dissipated, the crowd witnessed the miracle. Abraham emerged completely unharmed, unlike the structure of the furnace, which was reduced to ashes.
The tyrants d'expression.
The people, witnesses to the supernatural event, began to waver in their servility and lean towards the faith of Abraham. The fury of Nimrod reached its peak. Unable to find an explanation for his immaculate survival, he turned to his mysterious master. Demon. The cunning devil advised the king that Abraham was not a prophet, but a demon among demons, which explained the fire's inability to harm him. Iblis maliciously concealed the truth that the young man was a messenger of God, sent with the truth. Blinded by pride, Nimrod asked Iblis with his usual arrogance, "What do you possess?" Abraham replied, "What do I not possess?" Iblis responded evasively that the young man possessed only the way, true faith and method. Feeling superior even to his master, Nimrod displayed supreme arrogance, treating Iblis as his only worthy target. In response to the cruelty of Nimrod, God sent the tyrant a celestial ring summoning him to cease idolatry, devoting himself to the worship of God alone, without associates, and promised him permanence in his vast kingdom.
The punishment of the little one and the end of tyranny.
Blinded by incorrigible pride, Nimrod rejected the ring sent to him by the divine. His heart was so saturated with arrogance that he asked in open defiance, "Is there any other God besides myself who sends me messages?" His inability to recognize the truth led him to scorn the 3 messages of mercy that were sent to him successively. In a final act of insolence, Nimrod summoned the Creator himself to a confrontation, setting a deadline of 3 days for each to gather their respective forces. On the day of the scheduled meeting, Nimrod positioned his army. Instead of celestial legions, God sent against them a swarm of small creatures. This insidious plague consumed the flesh and blood of the troops, annihilating his entire formidable army. Only Nimrod was spared from witnessing his own defeat, the agony of 400 years. Then the Creator sent a single, even more insignificant creature, which entered the monarch through the nostril and lodged itself in his brain. From that moment on, Nimrod was tormented by unbearable and incessant pain. His only relief came from the continuous blows his servants delivered to his head. According to tradition, the tyrant suffered this agony for 400 years, the same length as his reign, an ironic torture in which the greatest power on earth was subjugated by the smallest of living beings. The tiny creature was the ultimate and humiliating cause of his death, driving him to madness before his last breath. Thus ends the tale of Nimrod, a man whose absolute dominion was overthrown by the weakest creation. His story cements his place in history as one of the 4 kings who ruled the entire planet: the believers, the nationlands and Suleiman, and the disbelievers, Nimrod and Buktunassar. Thus ends the tale of Nimrod, a timeless reminder that human pride, however great, always comes to an end, often at the hands of the weakest creatures. It was the epic downfall of Abraham's greatest enemy. If you were captivated by this tale of power, magic, and divine retribution, don't forget to support us. Like the video, share this story with those who might need it, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Your help is essential so we can continue bringing you these epic and profound narratives. And get ready. In our next video, we'll delve deeper into the story of another of the 4 great universal rulers, Solomon, the prophet king to whom God granted unprecedented dominion.